The moment you believe you've lost, simply because you lack leverage, you've already placed the chains around your own neck. Picture this. You walk into a meeting room. The titled ones sit with legs crossed, eyes distant yet full of judgment. A half-joking, half-serious remark slices through the air like a blade. This is probably beyond your capabilities, right? Your heart pounds. Your chest heats up. Your body reacts, as if it just heard the call of a predator. Cortisol floods your bloodstream. Your brain screams that you must prove yourself, must say something, must rise up and reclaim a shred of respect. Because you think you have no leverage. Because you believe they're above and you're below. And the instant you accept that position, you've signed your own sentence. Face this truth. Most of what people call leverage is nothing but an illusion, a smoke screen of power that you've been trained to believe in American offices, in social circles, in the invisible networks of status. You've been fed a toxic formula. They are higher, you are lower. They get to impose, you get to stay silent. They have a voice, you have self-doubt. But Machiavelli saw what you've never dared to look at. Power does not exist in reality. It exists in perception, and perception is largely built from fear. Fear of isolation, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. So when someone louder, richer, more prominent speaks, you bow your head. You believe they hold power simply because you act as if they do. You call that leverage. Machiavelli called it illusion. You've believed yourself weak because your entire life has programmed you to view the world through the lens of the submissive. You've been taught that power comes from business cards, titles, money, other people's approval. But there's one thing no one ever told you. Most of the people you think have leverage are actually more insecure than you are. They hold their position not because of strength, but because they hope you lack the courage to see their weaknesses. And you've obliged them. You've played the weak one. But what if that feeling of weakness is just a distorted perspective? What if all these years you haven't lacked leverage, you've just lacked the correct lens on power? What if having nothing is actually freedom? A freedom so dangerous that the moment you seize it, the balance immediately tips in your favor. What then? What if weakness is only a perspective and you've been trained to see it wrong? If that's true, the entire power structure around you begins to wobble, and so do you. Because the moment you stop believing the lie that you're lesser, lower, lacking leverage, that's the moment you start having it. Start here. This is why most people without leverage lose, not because they're weak, but because they behave as if they were born beneath the table. They turn themselves into prey in a game where simply changing how you stand, how you look, how you respond, flips the balance entirely. The first and most common mistake, over-explaining. In American offices, when a junior employee is questioned, they frantically explain, keep adding context, apologize, justify. The more they talk, the more they hand their position over to the other side. They don't understand that explanations are like blood in the water. It attracts sharks. Machiavelli understood. He who defends gives the enemy the throne. The one who defends crowns the opponent king. The second mistake, seeking approval. You'll see this most clearly in the American dating world. Someone texts non-stop, tries to seem interesting, tries to prove they're good enough to be chosen. They don't realize every action screams one message, I need you. And anyone who needs someone else to feel valuable instantly loses power. Not because they're unworthy, but because they voluntarily place the other person on a pedestal. In negotiations, the mistake shows up clearly too. The one seeking approval is the one being led. The third mistake, broadcasting intentions, publicly announcing your plans, goals, ambitions before you act. In American culture, this is disguised as openness, authenticity, sharing so others understand you. But in reality, it's voluntarily cracking open your own safe and handing the combination to your opponent. You say you want a promotion. They know you'll compromise. You say you want this relationship to work. They know you'll yield. You say you want to close the deal. They know you're afraid to lose the opportunity. Revealed intention, equal sign, lost leverage. And finally, the fatal mistake, playing defense. This is the mindset of someone who always waits for the other side to act before responding. In the office, you only reply instead of asking questions first. In dating, you only answer instead of leading the conversation. In negotiations, you only counter instead of redefining the frame of the game. The defender is always one beat behind, and in the world of power, one beat behind is death. Machiavelli dissected this long ago. Defense isn't just weakness, it's an admission that the other side has the right to judge, to attack, to set the tempo of the fight. When you defend, you're not just protecting yourself, you're validating their power. Now look in the mirror. Be honest. How many times have you over-explained just because you feared being misunderstood? How many times have you sought someone else's nod to feel safe? How many times have you revealed your full intentions only to receive indifference in return? How many times have you stepped back, avoided conflict, tried to keep the peace, only to lose yourself in the process? You're not weak. Those behaviors created the shadow of the weak one. You've been playing the loser before the game even started. And that's the good news, because if weakness is behavior, it can be changed. If power is just a perceptual frame, you can snatch that frame back any time. Losing isn't fate, it's a habit, and every habit can be broken. But here's the twist, most people never see coming. The person with nothing is actually the freest, most dangerous, most unpredictable one. Because when you possess nothing that others can use to control you, reputation, position, assets, approval, you become an uncontrollable variable, and nothing terrifies the powerful more than a variable they can't predict. The first power of having nothing is unpredictability. In politics, business, dating, every American power game, the highest status people are also the most constrained. They fear losing image, losing position, making mistakes. So they operate within narrow bounds, always calculating, weighing, following unwritten rules to protect what they have. But you, the one who seems at the bottom, have nothing to lose. You can pivot, switch strategies, break frames, move like smoke, strike like lightning. You're not bound by expectations or obligations. They are locked in their structure. You are not. That's why an unexpected move from you carries 10 times the weight of the same move from them. The second power, silence, as dominance. When someone with leverage speaks, they fear being met with silence. Silence forces them to interpret, to guess, to expose their own insecurity. Silence is the void their ego can't tolerate. You think you're silent because you're weak. The truth is, the weak feel the need to speak. The strong choose when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. In negotiations, relationships, every interaction where power is measured, the person with nothing to lose has the biggest advantage: detachment. You stay silent not to apologize or wait for permission. You stay silent to force the other side to reveal more than they want. In Machiavellian strategy, silence isn't retreat, it's a silent attack. And then the third advantage, asymmetric commitment. The asymmetry of investment. This is where you truly become terrifying. In every confrontation, the question is always, who needs this more? In the workplace, the boss needs to preserve their dignity. In dating, the one with more options fears rejection. In negotiations, the side with more reputation fears public failure. But you, the one with nothing to lose, aren't bound by that need. You can walk away anytime. You can switch tactics instantly. You can take risks they never dare. And risk is what shapes power. Machiavelli pointed it out with his classic metaphor. A prince must know when to be the lion, fierce, uncompromising, and when to be the fox, elusive, cunning, hard to grasp. But most people try to be the lion while trembling, or try to be the fox while their heart still depends on others' gaze. Only when you have nothing to lose can you truly switch fluidly between the two. Suddenly, without warning, unpredictably, you become the lion when it's time to smash down the door. You become the fox when it's time to slip through the system's cracks. And those with much to lose, they can't be lions because they fear breaking the throne they're sitting on. They can't be foxes because they're too predictable, too tied to the image and role they've built. You are different. You're not bound by the chair, the label, or any mask. And that very unbound state turns you into what they dread facing most. A force that can't be placed into any frame. Having nothing is a blank canvas for strategy. It's the empty space where you rewrite how you want to exist, how you want others to treat you, how you want power to operate around you. It's absolute freedom. And absolute freedom, in a world full of constraints, is ultimate power. You want to know why the penniless can topple entire systems. Because they play by a book the privileged never dare touch. Here is the Machiavellian rulebook for those who seem weak, but are actually the greatest threat on the board. Rule 1. Control the frame, not the facts. Truth has never decided the winner. The perceptual frame defines power. In American workplaces, two people can say the same sentence, but only one gets heard. Not because they're right, but because they speak inside a frame everyone has unconsciously accepted. Frame is context, the unspoken story. Who is judging whom? The one with the frame stands in judgment. The one without is the one being scrutinized. And if you let someone else set the frame, you've lost before you open your mouth. Remember Machiavelli, he who defends gives the enemy the throne. When you chase facts, you're defending. But when you control the frame, facts become irrelevant. Example, in negotiations, instead of answering why is your price so high, you reframe. The real question isn't price. It's the value you're missing by not working with me. You've pulled them into your frame. Or in dating, instead of proving you're good enough, you act as if the issue isn't whether you fit them, but whether they qualify to enter your life. Frame doesn't rely on truth. Frame relies on mindset. And mindset is something you can fully control, even when others see no leverage in you. Rule 2. Emotional detachment equals sign power. If frame is the battlefield, emotional detachment is the armor. The one who needs the least holds the most power. This is why in workplaces, the truly dangerous leaders aren't the hot-tempered ones, but the ones whose emotions you can't read. They don't waver. They don't react. They don't need anything from you. And that very lack of need makes you cautious. In dating, it's the same. The less emotionally invested leads the relationship. This isn't cruelty. It's basic psychological structure. Humans fear losing what they can't control. And if you don't place yourself in a vulnerable position, the other side automatically orbits you. Machiavelli understood this in the time of Italian princes. The less you depend on others, the more others depend on you. When you detach emotionally, you send a cold but effective message. I'm unbound. I'm not afraid to lose. I don't need anyone. And so they begin to need you. Rule 3. Weaponize silence. If words are arrows, silence is the abyss. Others fear falling into most. When you stay silent at the right moment, you force attackers to face the echo of their own insecurity. In a meeting, when someone tries to humiliate you, most people frantically fight back. But the dangerous one doesn't. The dangerous one just looks, holds eye contact, lets a few deadly seconds pass, and that very silence makes the opponent reveal their psychology. They'll talk more, justify, shore up their position, and the more they talk, the more they expose weakness. In negotiations, silence after their offer makes them think you're dissatisfied, unwilling to concede, not under time pressure. And they, not you, break the silence by devaluing themselves. Silence isn't lack of response. It's the sharpest response. It's the invisible knife. It makes others see you as deeper, more unpredictable, more powerful. Silence is the one thing no one can bend or exploit. It's the dark zone where they don't know what you're thinking. And that unknown is humanity's most primal fear. Rule 4. Act in darkness. The strongest moves are always the invisible ones. When you want to shift position, don't announce it. Don't share plans. Don't flaunt goals. Don't let your intentions become information for others to exploit. Operate in the dark. Let results emerge as if they appeared on their own. In American workplaces, most failures don't come from lack of ability, but from talking too much about the path ahead. When you announce goals, you create invisible enemies. You create envy. You create people who want to see you fail. Machiavelli said clearly, where the intention is revealed, opposition follows. But when you stay silent, you move like groundwater, accumulating, spreading, strengthening without notice. And when you finally surface, you've become a force others weren't prepared to counter. In dating, holding back 20% of yourself, unexplained, unshown, creates mystery that makes others chase. In negotiations, revealing information only when necessary keeps you in control. In every power game, darkness is your ally. It shields you from sabotage. It makes you a puzzle, and nothing is more attractive or more terrifying than a puzzle with no solution. Rule 5. Build micro-leverage. Leverage doesn't only exist as money, authority, or fame. The strongest leverages are often tiny pieces others overlook. Emotional stability, reliability, scarcity, insider knowledge. A little of each, but together, they create real strength. In the workplace, just being the one who never panics makes you the unconscious anchor others lean on. In dating, scarcity, appearing less often but with high quality, creates the sense that you're high value. In negotiations, just knowing something the other side doesn't gives you hidden advantage. Micro-leverage also means advancing a little every day. One skill, one small connection, one new insight. None of it impresses immediately, but it accumulates like a blade being sharpened in the dark. When you finally strike, it's so sharp, no one realizes you've already risen. Those with lots of leverage often sleep on their throne. Those with nothing stay awake, and that wakefulness is the strongest micro-leverage. Rule 6. Become the one who walks away. This is the pinnacle of power, because in every relationship, every game, every negotiation, the most important question is always, who fears losing whom? If you want to flip the entire power balance, do one thing: become the one who can leave without hesitation, the one who can walk straight out of the room, the meeting, the date, the contract, without rescue, without clinging, without proving anything. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote, "The man who can leave controls the man who cannot." In the workplace, the employee unafraid of losing their job is the most respected. In dating, the one who can let go is the one who makes the other try harder. In negotiations, the side without time pressure always forces concessions from the other. When you have the ability to walk away, you send a razor-sharp message: I am free, and freedom is the kind of leverage no power can subdue. Why can the penniless become dangerous? Because they have nothing binding them, nothing to fear, nothing holding them back. And that very fact makes them the force every power must beware. Master these 6 rules, and you are no longer the one lacking leverage. You become the leverage. And then there will come a strange, subtle, almost invisible moment to outsiders, but you will feel it like a shift in the axis of reality. That is the moment power begins to transfer. when you no longer need leverage, because you yourself have become the leverage. You will see this not through compliments or public recognition, but through small changes in the behavior of those who once stood above you. The first sign, they start explaining themselves to you. The person who once questioned you now proactively provides context, justifies, gives reasons, tries to make you understand them. That is the complete reversal of the frame. You are no longer the one being judged. You are the one they fear will judge them. The second sign, their tone changes. The more power someone has, the more unconsciously stiff, decisive, and breathless their voice becomes. But when power shifts toward you, their voice softens, becomes more cautious, with hesitations you never heard before. They become careful with every word they choose, because now you are the one capable of determining their value in the interaction. The third sign, they start asking permission instead of giving orders. Sentences like, "Is that okay with you? If you have time, what do you think about us?" begin to appear. This is not politeness. This is an instinctive survival adjustment in the world of power. People only ask the opinion of those they don't want to upset. And then the final sign, the clearest one, they fear losing you more than you fear losing them. This happens in the workplace, in love, in negotiations, in every context where power dynamics operate. When you can walk away, when you detach emotionally, when you are no longer bound, you become the variable they cannot afford to lose. They start texting first. They start clearing the path for you. They start talking about us instead of me. And most importantly, they start thinking twice before offending you. The secret of this shift lies in a concept Machiavelli never named, but always implied: quiet authority, silent power. This is not the power of shouting, of titles, of open threats. This is the power of someone who needs to prove nothing. The person with quiet authority doesn't need to say, "I am important." Their presence alone makes others automatically adjust, like when light changes and the entire room has to reorient itself. Quiet authority is when you walk into a room and don't need to draw attention. Attention finds you. It is the psychological gravity that makes others orbit you without realizing they are doing so. It is when your calm forces the hot-tempered to lower their voice, when your silence forces the noisy to tread carefully, when your detachment makes the person trying to manipulate you doubt themselves. And what makes quiet authority unbeatable is this: it relies on no tangible resource. You cannot steal it. You cannot fake it. You cannot buy it with money or position. It only appears when you have gone through 3 stages: understanding the true nature of power, stopping the behavior of the weak, and learning to exist without anyone confirming your value. The world around you will sense that change before you even realize you've changed. And then one day, you will see it clearly. It's not that they treat you differently because you have leverage. It's because you are the leverage. And here is the final truth. The truth most people never dare face. Starting from zero has never been a curse. It is the primal foundation of all enduring power. Machiavelli understood this clearly. He knew that the person without power is the only one capable of learning about power, without being distorted by illusions. Because only when you have nothing do you truly see how power actually works. Not through titles, not through reputation, not through display, but through the silent movements beneath the surface. You have no power, so you are forced to understand power. You are forced to observe, analyze, dissect human motives. And when you understand deeply enough, you become what power always belongs to: a person no longer controlled by the fear of loss. That is the final transformation. You no longer seek leverage. You no longer rely on leverage. You no longer need leverage. You are the leverage. And once you become the leverage, every door begins to open on its own. But Machiavellian philosophy is not just for listening to, it must be forged through experience. So I want you to step into a small journey, a 7-day challenge that anyone who dares to do it will see themselves changed at the root, the no leverage challenge. For the next 7 days, you will not seek approval from anyone. You will not over-explain. You will not announce your plans. You will not defend reactively. You will not ask permission to exist. You will walk as if you have nothing to lose, because in truth, you never needed to hold on to anything except your own clarity. And when you do that, you will see something strange happen. The world becomes softer toward you. People become more cautious when facing you. The things that once scared you suddenly become small. That is when you understand the Machiavellian oath. The world fears the man who cannot be stripped of anything, because he has already stripped himself. The person who fears no loss cannot be subdued. The person who grasps nothing is free to grasp everything. The person who needs no power is the most powerful. And if you seriously walk this path, more silent, colder, harder to control, freer, you will awaken a version of yourself that society has tried to suppress since you were young. The version of you that needs no permission, no consensus, no hierarchy to exist. The version of you that can build a new world from the very void others fear falling into. Because from nothing, from silence, from being unbound, only one thing has ever been born across all civilizations, across all ages. From nothing, empires are born. If you feel this video has awakened something inside you, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next power lessons. Thank you for watching. See you on the next battlefield.